If you've been scrolling through endless lists of welders and plasma cutters, comparing specs, watching demo videos, and still feel like you're stuck in a loop of maybe this one, maybe that one, you're not alone. The market is crowded, the jargon is confusing, and the fear of spending hard-earned cash on a tool that ends up gathering dust is very real. That hesitation is exactly what this review is meant to clear up. I've spent a few evenings reading forum threads, watching YouTubers who actually use these machines in their garages, and even chatting with a couple of small shop owners about what they truly need day to day. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the CT618. It's marketed as a 3-in-1 machine that can weld, cut, and run argon arc welding, all from a single unit. At first glance that sounds like a bargain hunter's dream: one box, 3 jobs, fewer cords, and the promise of a tidy workshop. But the real question is whether those 3 functions live up to the expectations of a hobbyist, a weekend warrior, or a small shop professional. In the end, the answer comes down to 3 things: how often you actually need to switch between welding and cutting, how much space you have, and how tolerant you are of compromises that come with any multi-tool. The first thing most people notice about the CT618 is its size. It's roughly the footprint of a standard cordless drill, and the weight is low enough that you can carry it to a job site without needing a dolly. For a metal fabrication hobbyist who works in a cramped garage, that portability is a genuine advantage. I've seen a couple of users set it up on a folding workbench and still have room for a torch, a clamp, and a small grinder. If you're the type who likes to move from the driveway to the backyard to the shed without loading a truck, the compact design will feel like a win. Now, versatility. The 3-in-1 claim isn't just marketing fluff. The machine actually toggles between MI-style welding, argon arc welding, and plasma cutting through a simple selector switch. The intelligent key switch adds a safety layer, preventing accidental startups when you're switching modes. In practice, I've watched a friend who runs a bike frame shop use the same unit to tack weld a steel tube, then flip the switch and clean up the joint with a plasma cut. The transition took less than a minute, which is impressive when you compare it to pulling out a separate cutter and waiting for it to power up. For a small operation where every minute counts, that speed can translate into real dollars saved. The wide voltage range is another selling point. The CT618 accepts input from 110V up to 240V, meaning you can run it straight off a standard household outlet in the US or plug it into a higher voltage circuit if you have one in your shop. That flexibility eliminates the need for a dedicated transformer or a separate power strip for each function. I know a couple of users in rural areas who only have a 110V line. They can still run the cutter at lower power without tripping breakers, which is a relief when you're trying to slice a thin sheet of aluminum for a project. When it comes to actual performance, the machine does deliver a respectable cut on thin to medium thick steel up to about 12 mm provided you use the right nozzle and keep the consumables fresh. The plasma arc is clean enough that you rarely need to sand the edge afterward, which is a nice time saver if you're building a prototype and want to keep the workflow smooth. The welding side, however, shows the typical trade-off you see in multifunction tools. While the output is adequate for hobby-grade jobs, think repairing a fence, patching a metal table, or building a simple bracket, it won't replace a dedicated MIG welder for thick plate work. The machine's duty cycle drops noticeably if you try to run long, continuous welds on 10mm steel. You'll see it overheat after about 10 minutes, and the built-in cooling fan will kick in, forcing you to pause. If you're a professional fabricator who needs to run heavy sections all day, that's a red flag. Another practical detail is the double full copper arc starter. In layperson terms, it means the machine provides a strong, stable arc right out of the gate, which reduces the chance of spitting or arc blow that can ruin a clean joint. In real-world terms, a beginner who's still learning to hold the torch steady will appreciate the consistency. I've watched a rookie use it to join 2 pieces of stainless steel for a custom kitchen hood. The arc stayed steady, and the joint held without needing a second pass. That reliability can shave off frustration for newcomers. So, who should buy the CT618? If you're a hobbyist or a small shop owner who needs to weld occasionally, cut occasional parts, and prefers not to juggle 3 separate machines, this unit hits a sweet spot. It's also a good fit for mobile technicians who travel to different job